Hey everyone, welcome to This Explainer. You know, every single year, the exact second the NFL schedule drops, fans, analysts, and coaches, well, we all immediately start obsessing over one thing: strength of schedule. We look at the opponents, we crunch the previous win-loss records, and we kind of just assume we have a pretty solid idea who's got an easy path to the playoffs and who's staring down an absolute gauntlet. But we're working under this basic underlying assumption that the playing field is essentially level. But what if it isn't? What if the actual structure of the schedule itself creates these hidden hurdles that make a team's win-loss record as much about logistics as it is about pure talent? Today we're diving strictly into the data for the 2026 NFL schedule to ask a very serious question. Is this schedule actually fair? Or is the league's relentless chase for primetime money actively harming player safety and punishing its most loyal fans?
So here is the hidden playbook we're decoding today. First, we'll look at the massive disparity in air miles. Second, the NFC West burden. Third, the shattered myth of NFL Sundays. And finally, we'll be ranking the true difficulty of the 2026 season.
All right, let's jump right into part one, the disparity in air miles. We really need to unpack the staggering difference in travel requirements across the league and the physical toll it takes on these high-performance athletes. Okay, consider this. The San Francisco 49ers are scheduled to fly a mind-boggling 47,862 miles over the course of the 2026 season. They literally hold the #1 spot for the worst travel rank in the entire league. But then, on the flip side, we have the Carolina Panthers, sitting pretty at the absolute bottom of the travel burden with just 8,641 miles. That gives Carolina the 32nd or easiest travel rank. A huge chunk of these massive numbers is driven by international games, and it really forces us to ask, is it remotely fair that a small portion of the league is forced into these grueling intercontinental trips while others get to stay safely regional?
We are talking about a nearly 40,000-mile difference between the absolute worst travel rank and the easiest one. 39,221 miles to be exact. To put that into perspective, the circumference of the Earth is about 24,900 miles. So the 49ers are essentially flying an extra time and a half around the globe compared to the Panthers, all compressed within a few months of an NFL season. This isn't just some minor inconvenience, right? This level of compounding fatigue drastically increases the risk of injury and, honestly, the likelihood of dropping games that a team should easily win.
Moving on to part two, the NFC West burden. Because as you'll see, the 49ers aren't suffering alone here. There is a very clear geographic pattern emerging.
It turns out the top 3 NFC West teams are absolutely leading the pack in extreme travel distance. We already know the 49ers are at the top with nearly 48,000 miles, but right behind them are the Los Angeles Rams, clocking in at 34,987 miles, making them the second worst travel burden team in the league. And the Seattle Seahawks? They're also sitting heavy with 22,516 miles, ranking them 10th worst overall. Obviously, the geography of being on the West Coast naturally forces these teams into longer flights when they play interconference or cross-country games, but the sheer volume here is just immense.
And the concentration of this burden is absolutely astonishing. The Rams, 49ers, and Seahawks alone hold 1/3, a full 33.3% of all the air miles traveled by the top 12 travel mile contenders in the entire NFL. Think about that for a second. Out of the 12 teams that travel the most, just 3 teams from a single division are eating up 1/3 of those total miles. It creates this fascinating dynamic where an entire division is collectively fighting off travel fatigue week in and week out.
So the crucial takeaway here is that this burden isn't just some isolated problem for the West Coast. The broader NFC contenders actually shoulder 2/3 of the total travel weight when we look at the league's top travel ranks. The data clearly shows that if you're an NFC team hoping to make a deep playoff run in 2026, your path is literally much longer than your AFC counterparts. And you know, when these teams are forced to travel globally, it's not just the players who suffer. Think about the traditional American PSL season ticket holder, who literally loses a home game to an international venue, all just so the league can expand its footprint.
Let's transition to part 3, the myth of NFL Sundays. Because travel is just one variable. Now we have to look at how the traditional Sunday routine is being completely shattered.
We are literally seeing Wednesday and Friday games being injected right into the middle of the season. Just listen to this lineup. In Week 1, the Patriots played the Seahawks on Wednesday, September 9th. Fast forward to Week 12. On Wednesday, November 25th, teams like the Packers, Rams, and Bears are taking the field. And in Week 16, a Friday game on December 25th featuring the Seahawks, Bears, and Packers again. These aren't just quirky little anomalies on a calendar. These dates are fundamentally changing the landscape of being an NFL fan. Wednesday and Friday games completely dismantled the traditional Sunday tailgate experience that built the league's brand in the first place. And they forced top contenders to perform on radically altered rest cycles.
These standalone games directly pull athletes out of their regular schedule and routine, which raises some major logistical and physical hurdles. As our source data specifically notes, these primetime or standalone games take athletes entirely out of their regular rhythm. I mean, when you play on a Wednesday or a Friday, your practice week is totally condensed, your travel time is shifted, and your body's recovery window is completely thrown off. In a sport where physical violence is a constant reality, a lack of rest doesn't just alter readiness, it directly spikes the risk of catastrophic injuries.
And the data absolutely confirms this disparity and who actually has to deal with these disruptions. Teams like the Rams and Bears face 7 of these routine-disrupting standalone or primetime games throughout the 2026 season. That is 7 weeks out of an 18-week season where their biological clocks and practice schedules are turned completely upside down. Compare that to the Panthers, who only have 3 of these games. The Panthers get to maintain a predictable, safe routine, while the Rams and Bears are constantly adjusting on the fly. It really makes you ask, is the chase for primetime broadcast money actually harming the product on the field?
All right, let's bring it all together in Part 4, ranking the true difficulty. We need to combine these hidden variables to reveal the true challenge.
If you were to judge solely by opponent win-loss records, you'd probably think the Chicago Bears have the toughest road at number 1. But wait, their travel rank sits way down at number 30, meaning they travel very little, just over 10,000 miles. Conversely, the 49ers have a seemingly middle-of-the-pack opponent difficulty rank at 18, but they battle the absolute worst travel rank in the league at number 1. And then you have a team like the Panthers, dealing with a top 10 opponent difficulty, but they have the absolute easiest travel schedule at rank 32. It's a massive contrast.
It just goes to show that who you play is just as important as when and where you play them. The sheer volume of hidden logistical challenges proves that a team's win-loss record is heavily influenced by the structure of the schedule itself. You really can't just evaluate a team's chances based on the roster they're fielding or the jerseys on the other side of the line of scrimmage. When the 49ers step onto the field late in the season, they're carrying the accumulated fatigue of tens of thousands of extra air miles. When the Rams play their 7th standalone game, they're battling a broken weekly routine. This isn't just about fatigue anymore. It's about a structural setup that practically guarantees dropped games and exhausted rosters.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I really want you to think about what a level playing field actually means in modern professional sports. When the logistical demands of travel and the commercial demands of Wednesday and Friday primetime games create such massive disparities between teams, it forces us to reevaluate how we view competition as a whole. We've seen the nearly 40,000-mile gaps. We've seen the drastically different weekly routines, all of which leaves us with an undeniable question. Are championships still won on the field, or does the scheduling office, chasing international revenue and weekday TV ratings at the expense of player safety and local season ticket holders, decide who even has the energy to compete?